Good afternoon, boys. So, once again we are in the economics class. Although we know while we are stepping into class 9th, we are acquainted with two new things. We are coming under the board jurisdiction and we are going to learn a new subject, economics, in our social science part. I hope we all are knowing what is social science, because science has a big arena and we all know that it is divided into physical science, natural science and the social science. Under social science, we deal the matters with the parameter of social perspectives. From history, geography, political science and economics, we are understanding and evaluating the matters from the broader aspect of the social perspective. It is not confined to a laboratory and you can get a ready-made answer by doing the same thing repeatedly. Economics. Why this is coming under the purview of social science? We know that in 1776, one book has been published, Wealth of Nations, authored by Adam Smith. And this book is considered to be the path-setting discipline of economics as such. You may ask me whether there was no trade, commerce, earning before 1776. Of course, the answer is yes. But previously, it was not being treated as a separate discipline like economics. So, we all are very much eager to know what is the definition, because unless we understand that definition, we feel the definition, we cannot proceed further. It is our common phenomena, common nature of human being. So, in order to define economics, we have seen different protagonists had made different versions with respect to time, situation and space. But the modern definition with which we are working now as a student of economics, that economics deals with three problems. First problem, what to produce. Second problem, how to produce. And third problem, for whom to produce. And for these three, we have to accept that resources are scarce. So, the definition of economics, in a nutshell, we can say that economics is that branch of social science which deals with scarce resources which are having unlimited use to fulfill human wants. First thing, resources are scarce. It is not abundant. As much as we want, never ever we can have that much. I am talking in micro sense as well as macro sense. What is micro sense? Micro means individual sense. From an individual point of view, from an individual economic unit. At the same time, from the macro sense as a whole, also it is seen that it is not sufficient, it is not abundant. Second thing, unlimited use. The same old thing has a lot of uses. Water. We are using water for drinking, for washing, cleaning, harvesting, this for different commercial purpose, industrial use and so on. So, it is not limited, and as because it is having unlimited use, therefore, it is quite natural, the matter becomes scarce, the resource becomes scarce. Third thing, human wants are also unlimited. Human wants are also unlimited. When one want is satisfied, another want crop up. It is very basic nature of human being, each and every one. Leaving the matter of the monks, leaving the matter of the people who are not believing in these worldly matters. Here in economics we consider only the rational being. We all rational being wants to have more and more to satisfy ourselves. So these three things, scarce resources are scarce, they are having unlimited use, and people want, human wants are also unlimited, and because of this the scarcity arises, and this is the very basis of economics. So once again I am reminding you that economics is that branch of social science which discusses the scarce resources which have alternative uses to fulfill the unlimited wants of human being. So we are understanding what is the definition of economics. So once again a recapitulation, as it is the first entry of yours into this particular branch of social science, economics, that economics is a branch of social science as it deals the social events in the social perspective. Second thing, it starts with problem, but we want to sort out the solutions out of those problems. What are the problems? Scarce resources, unlimited use, and human wants are also unlimited. And by these three, with these three problems, or by these three problems, we are going to address what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. First, what to produce. If I write what to produce, in an economy there are different commodities needed. Something is essential, something is comfort commodities, and some are essential luxurious commodities. So first of all we have to decide whether to produce essential commodities or only the comfort and luxurious commodities. If any economy must have a balance between the three. Essential commodities, it is needed for all. At the same time, comfort commodities and luxurious commodities are also needed, otherwise the economy cannot grow. Second thing, how to produce. What will be the technique of production? Whether it will be the labor intensive technique, that means more and more labor will be used, or it will be capital intensive technique, that is more and more machines will be used. In the developing countries like ours, India, we see that labor is plenty. So we try to use more and more labor in any economic activity. Whereas in the developed countries, we see they use more and more capital intensive technique, that means more and more machines are used because their labor force is smaller. They are not having huge amount of labor force. So how to produce? And third factor is for whom to produce. Who are my consumers? I am going to consumption later on. Who are my consumers? Who will consume those things? Who will enjoy those things? So if a country is very rich, they will pay more and more attention on luxury and comfort commodities, whereas a country which is struggling hard, they will pay more attention on essential commodities. Nowadays we see that all are developing countries. So in the developing countries there are plenty of opportunities to address the people who are needing essential commodities as well as some amount of comfort commodities. The people who are having huge margin of income, they are chasing for a good quality life, therefore they are asking for more and more luxurious commodities. So these three things are also clear. Now a very important part of three basic things without which we cannot proceed further, that is utility. Want satisfying capacity of a product is called utility. Any commodity which is having want satisfying capacity. What kind of capacity? Satisfying capacity. I want a pen, not a pencil. That time I may have 5 pencils, but that will not fulfill my need. So utility will not be fulfilled. So want satisfying capacity. When I want to drink a glass of water, a glass of cold drinks will not fulfill my satisfaction. So this way utility is discussed, and therefore utility doesn't have any moral value. A person who is smoking cigarette, it is not good for health, it is not ethically correct, it is not morally correct, but a person who is enjoying that, from that point of view, it gives him the utility, and therefore we cannot say no to that. So utility is very much objective, it is person specific. Person specific. The person who is willing to have, they can, he or she can. Now the question, consumption. Enjoying of utility is consumption. I want a book, that book will give me the utility. So it is the consumption power, utility giving power. So I am going to enjoy the utility from that book. So it is consumption. Next is production. Those who are creating the utility. Creating the utility. When I want to purchase a cell phone, the cell phone company has manufactured that machine. I am going to purchase that. So they had created the utility, and I am going to purchase those utility. So utility, consumption, production. Now we are going into the next part, that is factors of production. How can the production can be taken place? How can it become exactly what we want? There are 4 factors of production: land, labor, physical capital and human capital. It is also called entrepreneur. First, land, the surface from which we are getting economic activities. The surface. We should not consider, or we should not confine our analysis onto the plain surface. Yes, agriculture is made on the land, plain land. At the same time, the subsoil assets, coal, minerals, different kind of things are coming out from the soil. We are digging out the soil and we are getting those things. They are also coming under land, and also the resources what we get from the water resources. We are getting from oceans, we are getting from seas, the petroleum. So these all, so we cannot confine our analysis of land into the plain surface. It is the plain surface, subsoil as well as the water. So where from economic activities can be taken place and economic resources can be generated, that is to be called land. Now labor. The power of laborer which is used in the production process. The power of laborer. You are a teacher. You are using your mental power. You are a physics teacher. You are using your physics mental power onto the economic activity. So this is the labor. So the power of laborer, not the person itself. The same person may do so many things, but at a particular time what labor power is enjoyed or utilized, that will be called is labor. It is of two types, physical or manual labor and mental or intellectual labor. Physical or manual labor, that means when the labor is more and more of physical activities. When you see a rickshaw puller, a farmer, they are using more and more of their labor power. It doesn't mean they are not using a small unit of mental power. Of course, they are using mental power. Otherwise, the rickshaw puller cannot run the rickshaw properly. But most of his endeavor is for physical activity. And second is mental or intellectual labor. That means the labor, a teacher, a doctor, a sportsman, they are doing, that is, they are doing more and more their mental power. They are having focus on a particular matter, and for that they are using their labor, physical labor. I am taking the class, I am getting perspirated. Yes, isn't it true? But at the first and foremost thing, my attention is on your understanding. So we are interacting mentally, attaching mentally. So this is called the mental labor or intellectual labor. Now we are coming to the third part, that is the physical capital. Physical capital, that means the form of capital without which production cannot take place. Now you can question me, sir, physical capital, how can it be understood? So physical capital is also of two types. One is fixed and another is working. What is fixed capital? The part of capital which is used over a period of time. You have purchased a computer. You can use that computer year after another. In your home, you are having a refrigerator. Your father has purchased that refrigerator 10 years back. This is working properly. So this is a capital for you, because it gives you yield for long period of time. But working capital, the part of capital which is used up with the process of production. As and when you are using that, it is being appropriated, it is being exploited. Okay, so physical capital, fixed capital and working capital are in this, as for example the raw materials, money. So many times we are having the confusion that money is a capital. No, money is just working capital. I may have money, but I don't have the expertise to do anything. So money is helpless. Here, therefore, money is just working capital, but machine is a fixed capital. Building is a fixed capital. This Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit, just consider. Okay, this is the building, year after another, batches after another batches, they are passing by, and the school building remains the same. So these are fixed capital and this is working capital. But in modern world, without which no production process can take place, that is called human capital. Human capital. How can you define human capital? We all are human beings. All are having different potentials. When these potentials are imparted with skill, technology and training, and these are coming through education and health power. When you are getting proper education, you are getting skilled onto that. When you are getting the proper health services, you are becoming better and better. So this is called human capital. It is also called entrepreneur. So with these four factors of production, land, labor, physical capital and human capital, we can make our production process properly. Now our topic is the story of village Palampur. Here we must know that village Palampur is just a hypothetical village having almost all the characteristics of Indian villages, where we see that here farm activities, non-farm activities both are there. We will discuss this thing, this farm, non-farm activities, the activities remained in village in our next class.